The world is empty, a Buddhist wisdom that changes everything. Emptiness, called śūnyatā in Sanskrit and suññatā in Pali, is one of the most important ideas in Buddhist philosophy. It stirs deep curiosity, but it is also one of the most misunderstood. The word empty can sound like nihilism, a void, or a dark and meaningless view of life. Some even believe it means nothing truly exists, leaving only a hopeless abyss. But let us pause and set these ideas aside. In Buddhism, emptiness is not nihilism and not a negative void. It is a profound truth and a practical way of seeing. It does not destroy, but rather reveals. It has the power to lift the veil of ignorance and show a path to heal the roots of suffering by letting go of attachment. This realization awakens the natural wisdom and boundless compassion already within us, so deep and innate that we may not even realize it is there. To truly experience the freedom that emptiness offers, we need a clear and careful understanding, one that avoids clinging to fixed ideas about emptiness itself. It is not just a theory to argue about, but a perspective to be practiced and lived. With this right understanding, emptiness becomes a guiding light, leading us beyond fear, anxiety, and all forms of clinging. It opens the way to genuine inner peace and a deeply fulfilling way of experiencing the life we are living right now. This journey can transform everything. The Buddha's teaching, the world is empty of self. To truly understand the Buddha's teaching on emptiness, we need to return to ancient India, the birthplace of these insights. At that time, people widely believed in an Atman, an eternal, unchanging soul or self, and in Brahman, an absolute reality. Human beings longed for something permanent, an unshifting essence within themselves and the universe. Yet the Buddha's mission was not to create complex metaphysical systems. His purpose was practical, to show a path to end suffering, dukkha. Through his deep wisdom, he saw that the root of human discontent lies in clinging to the idea of a fixed, enduring self, and everything seen as mine. A common misunderstanding claims that emptiness was a later development, not taught by the Buddha himself. This is not correct. In fact, the Buddha taught suññatā directly in the Nikāyas scriptures, both as a way of seeing reality and as a meditative practice. In the Kula Suññatā Sutta and the Mahāyāna Sutta, he described the practice of dwelling in emptiness, suññatā vihara. In this practice, the meditator gradually empties the mind by letting go of external objects and inner defilements. Imagine contemplating a vast, open space, like an empty house, and then extending that sense of clarity and spaciousness into the mind itself. This leads to freedom from craving, anger, delusion, and attachment to views, resulting in deep purity and peace. In this context, the Buddha made a remarkable declaration in the Sunya Sutta. When Venerable Ananda asked, "Venerable Sir, it is said, empty is the world. In what way is the world said to be empty?" The Buddha replied, "It is, Ananda, because it is empty of self, and of what belongs to self, that it is said, empty is the world." He then explained in detail, "The I, Ananda, is empty of self and of what belongs to self. Forms are empty of self and of what belongs to self. I consciousness is empty of self and of what belongs to self. Eye contact is empty of self and of what belongs to self. And whatever feeling arises with mind contact, pleasant, painful, or neutral, that too is empty of self and of what belongs to self. This same analysis was applied to all 6 senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, along with their objects, consciousness, contact, and the feelings that arise from them. This clear explanation shows that the world, loka, does not mean the planet Earth or the external cosmos. It refers to the world of our 6 sense experiences: our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, together with their objects, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and mental phenomena, and the consciousness and feelings that come from them. In short, it is the world we perceive and experience directly. So when the Buddha declared this world to be empty, he was not saying that it does not exist. The real meaning is that it is empty of a permanent self, anatta, an eternal, independent, unchanging soul or ego. It is also empty of anything that could truly belong to a self. The Buddha carefully deconstructed what we mistakenly call I or mine. In the Anattalakkhana Sutta, he explained that the 5 aggregates, form, body, feeling, sensations, perception, recognition, mental formations, thoughts and intentions, and consciousness, are all impermanent, constantly changing, and subject to suffering. Because of this, they cannot be a lasting self. They are empty of self-nature. The Phenapindupama Sutta reinforces this with striking imagery. The 5 aggregates are like foam, a mirage, or a hollow plant. Empty, coreless, insubstantial. They cannot be grasped as solid realities. Think about it. Can you truly own your body, your feelings, your thoughts, or even your act of seeing? All of them are flows of change, not fixed possessions, and not controlled by a permanent self. The Buddha taught this not as abstract theory, but as a practical tool. By seeing that the world of our senses and mind is empty of self, clinging naturally dissolves. And when clinging ends, suffering, fueled by craving, aversion, fear, and anxiety, loses its foundation. This is the middle way, transcending both eternalism, belief in a permanent soul, and annihilationism, belief in total extinction after death, as explained in the Kakanagata Sutta. Far from diminishing life, this teaching frees us to live more fully, unburdened by the illusion of a self. Breaking misconceptions. Emptiness as interdependence. Having seen that emptiness means the non-self nature of our experience, we now need to face one of the most common and harmful misunderstandings. The belief that emptiness is the same as nihilism. The idea that nothing exists, that life has no meaning, or that reality is just a cold and hopeless void. Let us be completely clear. In Buddhism, emptiness does not deny existence, nor does it remove warmth, meaning, or purpose from life. What it denies is the idea of a fixed, unchanging, independent essence within things. In other words, phenomena do exist, but their existence is dynamic and relational. They exist through dependent origination. Everything arises and continues because of conditions, connected in a vast web of cause and effect. Think of a flower. It does not exist on its own. It depends on soil, water, sunlight, air, and even the gardener's care. Because it has no permanent flower nature, it can change, interact, and reveal its beauty. This is the meaning of emptiness. Not non-existence, but interdependence. Existence is real, yet never separate or self-contained. This understanding resonates with modern science, especially quantum physics, which questions our ordinary sense of solid matter. At the smallest scale, what we think of as fixed particles are better described as fields or probability waves. Their definite properties do not exist beforehand. They appear only through interaction or measurement. This shows that reality is not made of unchanging, independent substances. Instead, things exist in a state of potential and interconnection. While science does not prove Buddhist teaching, it offers a striking modern illustration of how our common-sense belief in a solid, self-existent world breaks apart, pointing toward the truth of dependent origination. When seen and lived in the right way, emptiness is not cold or lifeless. It is the deepest freedom, a spaciousness where peace and joy can naturally arise. This becomes clear through the practice of mindfulness. By releasing clinging to a fixed self and to external objects, the mind becomes open, light, and pure. In this space of emptiness, joy, inner peace, and boundless compassion can flourish. It is not a void, but a fertile ground for awakening. This is ultimate freedom, moving from the narrow prison of self-clinging into the open, luminous expanse of genuine liberation. Mahāyāna Insights: Emptiness of all phenomena. The Buddha's insights into suññatā, as the non-self nature of experience and as a meditative dwelling, laid the foundation for further philosophical development. Several centuries after his passing, these seeds of wisdom grew into more systematic doctrines that profoundly shaped the course of Buddhist thought. One of the most important figures in this process was Nagarjuna, around the 2nd century CE. He formalized and deepened the teaching of emptiness, establishing the influential Madhyamaka, middle way school. What the Nikāyas taught as suññatā, the emptiness of self and the practice of meditative dwelling, Nagarjuna expanded into the comprehensive doctrine that all phenomena are empty of self-nature. Svabhava śūnyatā, explained through the lens of dependent origination. Nagarjuna's central point, expressed in his Mula Madhyamaka Karika, is that dependent origination and emptiness are identical. Because everything arises and continues in dependence on conditions, nothing possesses an independent, permanent essence. Reality functions on two levels: conventional truth, our everyday experience, and ultimate truth, the emptiness of all phenomena. He explained, without relying on conventional truth, the meaning of the ultimate cannot be taught. Without understanding the ultimate, nirvana cannot be realized. Nagarjuna also warned, emptiness wrongly understood destroys the foolish, like a snake wrongly grasped. This shows the need for careful understanding that avoids clinging even to the concept of emptiness itself. This vision of Svabhava śūnyatā is beautifully summarized in the Heart Sutra. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. This means material form, rupa, has no fixed, independent essence. It is empty. And because it lacks such an essence, it can appear, change, and interact. It is form. Emptiness and form are not separate, but two inseparable aspects of the same reality. Consider a chair. Does it contain a permanent chairness? It is only a collection of wood, nails, glue, shape, and our concept of chair. Remove these, and chair disappears. The label is conventional, not an independent reality. This recalls the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, who said, "Everything flows," pointing to constant change and interdependence, ideas that resonate strongly with dependent origination. So, does Nagarjuna's teaching contradict the Buddha's original message? The answer is no. His Madhyamaka system is not a rejection, but a deeper clarification of what the Buddha already taught. The Buddha showed the emptiness of self to end personal suffering. Nagarjuna explained that since all things arise dependently, everything is empty of self-nature. This is a natural philosophical extension, offering a broader view of reality. Building on this, the Yogacara school appeared, emphasizing the mind's role in shaping experience. Yogacara teaches that the subject, the experiencer, and the object, the experienced, are not two independent entities, but two aspects of one unified experience. It does not claim that mind creates objects in a simplistic sense, but that reality as we know it cannot be separated from consciousness. For example, when you feel anger, is there truly a separate you and an independent anger? Or are they simply one lived experience unfolding in the mind? There is no sharp boundary between the two. This perspective parallels phenomenology in Western philosophy, where thinkers like Edmund Husserl showed that consciousness is always consciousness of something. Subject and object cannot exist separately, they co-arise within experience. Another important Mahāyāna development is the doctrine of Buddha nature, Tathagatagarbha, found in later texts such as the Mahāyāna Tathagatagarbha Sutra. It teaches that every sentient being has an intrinsic pure potential for awakening, our natural capacity to become a Buddha. This potential is hidden only by defilements, not destroyed. To avoid confusion, it is important to see this in relation to anatta. Buddha nature is empty of defilements, but not empty of positive qualities. The mind, in its deepest nature, is spacious, clear, and free from greed, hatred, and delusion. Precisely because of this emptiness, it holds limitless potential for awakening and wisdom. This teaching has a powerful healing effect. It inspires deep confidence in one's own ability to awaken and encourages wholehearted practice. It reminds us that our true nature is fundamentally pure, needing only the removal of obscurations. Interestingly, this idea echoes aspects of Carl Jung's psychology. Jung described the self as the center of the psyche, symbolizing humanity's innate capacity for wholeness and harmony. While distinct from the Buddhist doctrine of non-self, anatta, this comparison highlights a shared recognition of a deep potential for healing and integration at the heart of human existence. Beyond views, the emptiness of emptiness. Having explored the two levels of truth, conventional and ultimate, through Nagarjuna's Madhyamaka, we now come to a higher realization. Even these very frameworks, including the concept of emptiness itself, are subject to emptiness. This is called the emptiness of emptiness. It means that all the Buddha's teachings, the Four Noble Truths, doctrines, and even the idea of emptiness, are skillful means, upaya. They are tools, like a raft used to cross a river. Once we reach the other shore, we do not carry the raft on our back. We let it go with gratitude. If we cling to the concept of emptiness as an absolute, unchanging truth, we create a new attachment that blocks ultimate liberation. From this arises the practice of non-clinging to views. The teaching here is clear. Do not hold on to any view as ultimate reality. Use conventional understanding as guidance, but do not mistake it for the final truth. All views, beliefs, and theories are creations of the mind. They are shaped by language and concepts. They function as maps pointing toward reality, but they are not the territory itself. They help us navigate daily life, yet they cannot capture ultimate truth. This recognition of the limits of language and thought finds a striking echo in Western philosophy. Ludwig Wittgenstein famously wrote in his Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus, TLP 7, "Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent." This resonates deeply with the Buddhist insight that ultimate truth often lies beyond the reach of words. A timeless Buddhist image captures this perfectly, the finger pointing at the moon. The finger represents the teaching, the concept, the words. The moon represents ultimate reality, direct experience itself. A wise person sees the finger as only a guide, while a deluded person mistakes the finger for the moon, clinging to the teaching instead of realizing the truth it points toward. This wisdom does not ask us to reject knowledge, but to go beyond attachment to knowledge. By doing so, the mind becomes free, able to experience reality directly, unfiltered, immediate, and profound. Living emptiness, a path of freedom and healing. In the end, emptiness is not just an abstract theory to debate or an idea to grasp with the intellect. It is a living path of practice, a direct way of engaging with reality. Through mindfulness and insight, meditation, vipassana, each of us can directly experience the non-self nature of the ego, the dependent arising of all phenomena, and the mind's natural emptiness of clinging. Try a simple but profound exercise. Observe the breath as it flows in and out, or notice the arising and passing of sensations, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Watch how they appear, remain for a while, and then vanish. As you observe carefully, you begin to see their impermanent, non-self nature. Nothing is solid, fixed, or lasting to hold on to. This direct observation reveals the flowing, ungraspable nature of our experience, and within it, a deep freedom waiting to be discovered. The true value of realizing emptiness lies in its power for liberation and healing. This insight frees us from the roots of suffering, from fear, and from the endless patterns of clinging that keep us dissatisfied. It naturally gives rise to boundless compassion, because we see how deeply interdependent all beings are. It also cultivates profound wisdom, guiding us through life's challenges with clarity and calm. Experiencing emptiness also helps to unify our inner life. It invites us to accept and integrate every part of ourselves, even the aspects we often hide or deny. Growth in wisdom often requires facing these hidden parts, allowing them to be transformed. From this wholeness arises not only inner peace, but also a deep sense of ethical responsibility toward ourselves, our community, and the environment. When we see all beings woven together in this empty yet vibrant reality, unconditional love and respect naturally flow. In closing, let us approach this wisdom with patience and humility, remembering that language and concepts can only point the way. Make space each day to contemplate these truths, to practice mindfulness, and to experience reality directly for yourself. True understanding does not come from collecting more ideas, but from going beyond them, using them as a guide, and then letting them go. Within your own mind lies the seed of full awakening. Trust this inner wisdom, practice with diligence, and may your path lead you to the freedom of ultimate liberation.